So everybody, it's Amon here. Welcome back to another one of Amons debunks / also different talk revolving things. Sorry if I constantly a little bit tired because I just got back from working out. You know, boy, big boss suck. He when it comes down to working. Just got back for the gym / wrestling practice, pushing work. You know. I've been out here doing my thing. I hope you guys are having a great day and doing good. I want to go make your response. I'm just saying that for people that I talk to in a comment and having debate / full discussion about. But at the same time, to remove this from some people's minds. If you do think this and you have valuable reasons or want to actually have a reasonable debate with me about this, you can. I can link all the different sources, the scans, and different kinds of things like that. Also, links to go and debate me. But obviously, as you see by the title, this is about the characters that can defeat Sigma and why Sigma is not the strongest and why considerably Doomfist or Winston are still the strongest, if not one of them the strongest character in the Overwatch verse full feats alone. I hope you guys will enjoy it. It's gonna get it in.
You a bad beast, I'm a hitter like you thing. No thoughts, real right, with some new chains. Nice waist, pretty face with a big thing. Yeah, I fake, you a bitch like it. It's your shit, you the one for me. She be coming never go out when I'm on the scene. And I be getting to the bag, I be getting the cheese. And every time you hang out my heart, skipping up here. You a bad beast, I'm a hitter like you thing. No thoughts, real right, with some new chains. Nice waist, pretty face with a big thing. Yeah, I fake, you a bitch like it. It's your shit, you the one for me. She be coming never go out when I'm on the scene. And I be getting to
answers when we do.
So starting off first, revolving the character himself, Sigma. Sigma, I've talked about before in past video, and same time here and there, about the same for his potential and how reasonably in the future he could be one of truly, because evolving all the same matter, he would be the top 5 strongest character in this game, but be to the relativistic same for speed and high in case speed lines up with his capabilities of hacks and other stuff, would make him one of, if not possibly in potential and power gauge, the strongest character. But not just in speed, but his primary capability to be able to distort matter and reform things and reconfigure different opportunities around him to any will that he wants will probably put him at best. So him aligned with the speed and grade A power will put him at that. So potential wise, he is the strongest. But evolving right now, pound for pound, he's not the strongest because besides the game and one possible same for feat by lore, he's featless. He doesn't have anything that skills anybody else. And that's why I'm here to go and talk about this. It's not about split personalities or anything. That kind of might hold him back. But at the same time, he wouldn't be able to hold up against anybody truly evolving pound for pound feats in the same amount for scaling, because all he has really is by gameplay capabilities to deform matter, reform things to his will, be able to throw disc and do different weirder capabilities and things, and have great A near the same amount for magneto capabilities, but he really doesn't hold that much. I'm gonna go ahead and explain all his capabilities and talk more about them, and that's pretty much what the whole argument is. So the reason why he wouldn't be able to do anything about speed is because there's technically 2 to 3 characters that have women versus same for speed feats. What is being said? These 3 are mainly in form Tracer, Doomfist, Winston. Tracer's capability to instant teleport and spear off into different points at great A hypersonic speed, be able to move around bullet timing, and a high ball in the same for scaling a little bit to Doomfist, and be able to dodge and weave him, even considerably with the fact that Doomfist wasn't actually full understanding it and did eventually tag her, cringe her chrono accelerator, rip it off, and start making her lag out of existence. She was still able to move around at considerably, if we scale Doomfist to sub-relativistic to arguably high, faster than light, not super, but a reasonable faster than light scale, then she would be able to move faster than light and he wouldn't be able to touch her. He would be not able to do anything, wouldn't be able to distort the ground, rewrap her into something where he cannot control, and most importantly, she's way too fast. She would be able to split him apart in between by just moving, and most importantly, throw a bomb on him on a vital part of his body and he would explode from there. As there's nothing that shows he would be able to control that, and she moves at way too much speed that by gameplay wouldn't be able to actually absorb the bomb itself. As simply, she does not have the same ways of other characters where if he tried to by reasonable speed, he'd be able to do that. But with her, she moves way too fast. She has a bomb that could easily sticky bomb him and blow him. And most importantly, blitzing around, moving at different visual speed, will be able to split his consciousness and not allow him to focus. And the way he kind of acts isn't like he would be brutish and not be able to probably focus, but he would get too overwhelmed, case of hyper frustrated, and he will be taken off the balance of how you want to go and act, because simply he is not in the conscious understanding of it. He cannot react to it. He cannot hold up anything to her in this case. So overarchingly, she would just be able to take away any capability he would be able to hold there. So overarchingly, in conclusion, Tracer is one of the characters that can instantly, if she wanted to, split around him, move, bob and weave asymmetric for what he can do. He wouldn't be able to gravitationally ripple her or rip the ground around, reform, or even take her, because people are trying to wank him to some say possibility because of the fact that he has all these scientific deform of matter type same matter capabilities, when that is not actually a true matter when it comes down to what has been consistently shown and reasonably shown. There's some same matter involving mind manipulation of matter type of capabilities that maybe would be able to be changed here and there with evolving a character like him, but overarchingly, since he is not showing anything to that same level, he would not be able to do anything like that. So besides Tracer, there's Winston, who again beat Doomfist, higher scales him arguably, and even though it's not consistent pound for pound with feats, he still overhaul him along the same matter of powers, because Winston has better speed, he reacted to Doomfist, he holds a lot more capabilities, and overall, this man beat Doomfist with Primal Rage. Primal Rage alone will clobber Sigma. I don't even think nobody can say it wouldn't. He's just too beastful, he's too membastic with power, and he will overroll him. Doomfist, combined with Winston, has better feats. Doomfist is stronger, faster, more suffice in his capabilities involving speed in a fight scenario. He does way more. He holds way more. And there's no way someone like Sigma, who again has never shown anything in actual compound grace of feats, that could do anything to him truly. He just doesn't hold any matter of actual scaling in comparison. Because again, he's featless. There's nothing that y'all can provide in the scaling scenario that holds him overall. And there's other characters that have a similar to the same instance. Not just Doomfist, Winston, and Tracer, but there's Genji, who has similar scaling to her. I don't think Genji is fast and light or at high into that same instance, because again, it's sparring and he always slight contenders with her. But you could pitch him at a higher state of math for speed that this man Sigma never could get. I think Sigma would beat Genji, but I feel like there's an argument to say that Genji with the dragon could hypothetically split him if he wanted to at high probability. Then as well, you have someone like Echo that can replica what he can do. And even then, Echo wouldn't be the strongest because of this, because again, there's a timer and she doesn't instant have a full grasp of what they can do. But Winston, with capabilities of Echo and form, if she wanted to copy something like that, if she can make that on a flyer, only has to copy a person by one instance of form, like in this case of the gameplay, because again, Echo hasn't done that much, and there's only two capabilities of feats that we could really take a big pitch of in this instance, meaning the fact that again, she is able to copy people's capabilities and do different things like that. If she wanted to, she could replica Sigma and maybe pull off some better stuff or have better capability for speed feats, as she's basically like a jet. She's one of the fastest form of technology in the Overwatch universe, and so her vision-like capabilities, maybe she could actually pull a win. I don't think overarchingly she will win, and there's an argument there, but I'm just saying there's a better people to put in the argument, and we're talking about in this perspective of who's bigger, stronger. Because again, this vibrant same amount for speed with Tracer would decimate him by just a speed blitz alone. Him having gravity powers and gravity control doesn't debunk the same amount of the argument we're talking about speed. Because if he can't react, he can't do nothing, then it doesn't matter. He can't control, he can't de-warp, he can't change anything if he can't actually attack them, sense them, perceive them. The speed is way more better. You have to prove that his capabilities could deform the same amount of speed with a person by just going around or doing anything, because Doomfist easily, with Meteor Strike and other carrying capabilities, could easily blitz around and beam him before he could actually high end rock him or do anything in the same instance at high end. So overarchingly, someone like that would be way more better in the same matter for feats. To go ahead and recap on the other thing I said I was going to talk about was what Sigma can do. So go by lore, in line with gameplay. The only high bit same matter for a feat that's not consistent and does not have the best weight, because again, we do not know that much. His powers are a mystery. But same matter him surviving a black hole disruption, not a full black hole and sucking. Even if you say a highball, he can do that. A character like Doomfist has better ways and capabilities to do more, evolving attack potency and feats and consistency for what he can do. So even if you highball that, there's still an argument to say that it's by speed. Doomfist can take him out. And Doomfist has a high-end city-level cinematic for attack potency. So with that being said, there's not really a reasonable argument to say that, okay, he survived, hypothetically, a black hole. That is deteriorates the entire argument of somebody else being able to beat him by speed and other gradual same matter capabilities just by that alone. Because again, the character just has way more overarchingly in his pocket than ever what Sigma could possibly ever go out his way and do. Because simply, he's not stacked, he's not holding anything, there's nothing that he has that is actually good in comparison at a high end, you know? So, besides that, the other thing is same matter for the possible control. Creating a possibility to make a rift and control a form of a black hole by deroving the entire form of the black hole's connection and its potency. I don't want to go on the big scientific words because I don't know the full grasp of that, but correct me if I'm wrong in the case of my physical science understanding and the fact that I can actually be precise brain sometimes. If you want to pitch this as him taking a similar to energy, taking the store of it, taking the unraveling the overall of a black hole and regrouping the particles that embolden it. And so with this being said, sorry, I'm a little bit sick. Like, I'm hoping I'm saying this full good because I know I'm sniffling a little bit. I don't have like a big say I'm overarchingly good. It's just a little bit of sickness from there, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, emboldened with it, being able to distort and re-roll the form of this black hole by gravity in this case / energy cannot be destroyed or dismissed. It can only be recreated. So he discharges it and makes the particle little bulbs that he has. He doesn't actually de-roll or disrupt actual gravity / the form of that. He can reform gravity and distort different same matter for matter, but he does not control all form fronts evolving the power of gravity and other things like that, because it's simply not a thing in his arsenal. He's never showcased this. It's not consistent. It is not an actual thing that holds a formal matter in the same matter for what a person can do in the same sense, and it's just overarchingly wrong overall because again, it's not a true overarching statement of potency. It's not a statement that holds actual gradual work in this case, or actually holds up a bigger same matter for argument. Because simply, he hasn't done it consistently, wouldn't matter, and he's just decertain one half of the energy for another department of actual power of energy in this case. Again, I don't know that much about the scientific form of it, but he just splits particles. He reforms matter. He has gravity impact control about these certain different particles and different things and regrouping them together. It's like you combining something in the same matter for clay. And to give an example of this, it's the same matter for him taking a rock, recompounding it together from rubble of the ground and building a big boulder and splitting it off at somebody like an earthbender. He's morphing and deforming different same matter for matter on the ground to make different things. It doesn't mean he can do this to technology or whatever. He could probably highball, do this to a big assortment of things, but he couldn't unravel or wrench a person apart. He couldn't deform the same for different things. But at the same time, if you wanted to say that he could do this to all possible cases of matter again, Doomfist is way more faster. Which I'm going to go into how these people are more faster, like I explained in another thing. With as well, his capabilities evolving, his technology and other things. And in one of my different shots, I showed that Sigma was able to plume out his shield. And his shield can relapse back to his hand with an energetic form of discharge. This is just a technology put into his body to allow him to split that out. It's cool, but it wouldn't hold up and it wouldn't barrier Doomfist off, and Doomfist by gameplay can get through it, and it can only be actually defensed against evolving big energy place barriers and not a physical overbrawling force that is overwavering like Doomfist. And if it is supposed to be a shield that's supposed to stack that much state of power, Doomfist at highball could easily break it because we never seen the attack potency, durability, or anything like that against something like this. It just doesn't hold up anything that can really be certain on the foundation of its strength. As well, with someone like Doomfist having way more to be said involving feats and other capabilities. Then we have the whole Zorb thing. I don't know if that's a voice crack. Then, yeah, it kind of sounds weird. Whatever the case. Then we have this whole Zorb thing. Now again, the whole thing about discharging mark, form, and all this and other things like that. Excuse me. Let's talk for a minute. Can't even say that personally right, because in case I'm mad for me saying things way too long. Sorry. Okay, to reiterate what I was trying to say, I'm saying for him being able to discharge and regroup and recolor in different forms of matter in different seances like that, and the particle split point is a thing that he can technically do involving disking things, like in the form of Tron Legacy, but a different mark for why he would actually go and do this mark, it kind of sounds weird, but mark in different matter of things that he can de-ravel wouldn't actually hold up anything, because again, it's only to a good semblance. Like I'm taking away a rock, deforming matter, taking away parts of things around him, doing big like cosmic omega movement type of shit, like in the form of the X-Men. But him having these Magneto deform of different stages of matter wouldn't hold up that much, because again, he's just way too lower powered in comparison, and he doesn't hold that much. It's an overpowered feat thing, but it doesn't really stack. It doesn't hold true weight. It's not a thing that will change the character's overarching capabilities, because simply it doesn't do anything. Why would this be able to hold a difference in attack potency and portion of different things like that? It's just not a matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hold weight. It's simply just a compartment of different matter being built up together and being dished off. It's not really that. Him being able to suckle things with a whole black hole in his hand wouldn't help that much, especially in game. Doomfist can punch through that, and it doesn't matter, because in the game, which I'm not trying to be one of people, somebody was thinking I was saying this, I just want to make this very clear, take into point what I'm trying to say here. I'm not trying to say by gameplay that deforms a character or power or takes away any same amount of their capabilities, because at the end of the day, it is a video game and characters should have be on equal footing, and you can't take a video game and equalize that to the actual same amount for power. It's like you're trying to say, by my example, Doomfist faster than light, that you shouldn't be able to get body like that when one, this is a video game, when you know that Doomfist got neutered in the same amount for him being buff, which I know now in Season 2 that has changed, that's a different form in this case, but that does not put down the factor that these characters are still in this state of matter with our capabilities and the whole weight, because in the presence of actually doing stuff in game, it's not the same in the actual power scaling or realistic power. In some gauges of the game, that is reasonably shown. It's like, for instance, Kratos has the capability to be fast as fuck, even though you might not show it, but if he played like the same way he did in the actual same amount of power gauge, it would ruin the game in every form. You wouldn't be able to have a pleasant 1v1 equal sitting with different characters from a full play thing, even though a lot of characters they face could stack to the same status as a matter for power. It doesn't change the fact that, again, it's a video game and does not degrade or high-rise a character in the same amount for power. You saying that is equalizing ignorance more than actually presenting a point. My final thing to talk about this, again, besides gameplay, is that, yeah, gameplay can help. I'm not saying that it does or not, but I'm saying all we have is similar to gameplay. We don't have strong, solemn points that really strike a matter and saying, oh, that character can do more involving high-end plays. There's not really a high-end feat chart that we can scale off of to really say he does that much or holds that much weight. Because overarchingly, he just doesn't. He doesn't hold that much weight as a character and overarching power. Because overarchingly, his capabilities and power are not to that good of use in comparison to someone like Doomfist. Like I say, he just has way more better capabilities and feats. It's that simple. But to recoil back to the rest of his capabilities and what they could possibly do, besides his three main capabilities, his vacuum, from what we saw, is not like a black hole, where again, he unravels the entire place and rises a whole black hole dimensional distortion in the ground. It overravels people. It is used like a vacuum, like him wavering around a tornado of gravity and slapping people up into the air, and then from the gravity compactment onto them, he drives them down from the overlay of it. y'all can look back at the tornado sick of it, because it really is just him putting them in a blender. It's not him controlling them, and from what we know, this is the only time he's able to fly and do this great A God Omega level mutant stuff. So by gameplay and consideration of the lore, this is it. But Doomfist is faster. Enough about Sigma, because at the end of the day, he doesn't stack. We're going to talk about why Doomfist alone solos him and why Doomfist is considerably the strongest character, but I also want to go ahead and debunk some other case of fallacies in this as well, besides Sigma's. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about that now since we're done with Sigma's talk. Now for Doomfist and how he's like with speed and other stuff. So I'm going to explain how he's like this in speed. Take a listen to this, and there's multiple scans that provide this. Now remember the Doomfist short. This is going to explain everything. My scans I can provide are in the debate or in the same after description. If you really want to get a look for a debate and not reach to the extent where you, oh, he's lying, he's saying bullshit. No, I explain this in the comment section where I'm responding to this, and also just seriously matter for my argument what is being said. Take a peek at what I'm saying verbally and actual scan for scan, and y'all understand it. So the first scan that you can look up is the Doomfist short. That's number one. Number two is the dialogue talked about with Winston's Tesla gun, and most importantly, how it's like / Tesla cannon. You can take a look at it, and I don't mean a car in this case, because obviously there's no Tesla cannon car. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at least you're talking about like a lightning rod looking car. But besides that, the form of this gun with the Tesla cannon and this hot rod like gun that's able to blitz off electricity, he talks big in part about how this gun was made, its use, and its setup in the same manner for its volts, all that. A Tesla gun / what is used like in real life is used to test the extent of electricity. Electricity is able to beam 50% the speed of light. Doomfist dodged this gun. Now, in this case, that would be at high gauge what his speed would be, right? You could put at low ball, since we don't know if it's to that case of extent, but we take into high ball, reasonably, his state of speed, in the same sense, to be able, you know, to obviously extend to that same amount for being that speed. Obviously, with this being said, this would mean that Doomfist has the easy capabilities to be relativistic / faster than light and high-end capabilities, because simply him being able to dodge this shit and move at this high-end gauge capabilities and be able to get around this in an easy mix of different movement proves my point that someone like him has way more better capability and speed than someone like Sigma, because Sigma has never did anything like that, and he would be able to move out of that. And the only reason why people say this would not work is because he can create a form of black hole. There's never been a showcase he's able to control a form of black hole, and the only little stimulant to that is making a little portion of something similar, and the gravity impact took over whole split in the form of his right hand / left, wherever form of hand position it is, and him sucking in an energy portion of power to recoup health and grow in the same amount for power. He just grows from that being at a one take ting and not actually growing at high end or anything else, because overarchingly this is not something that he would be able to actually react to if we're talking about in the same manner of the black hole. But we're talking actual Sigma, no highball, no wank, no bullshit. He's never shown shit like that. He's never, and highball will never do that at this point. Doomfist has. Now the reason why I would say this makes him relativistic is because, again, a different talk, someone like Winston says that my Tesla gun extends the force of electricity. And since it's a Tesla gun, which in real life is used to do that, it would reasonably extend the matter of general electricity. Now, I talked about this in my Doomfist versus Senator Armstrong video, which I'm going to check out. Pretty cool video between two people that are definition of conflict and war. But I didn't press it because, again, you never know. And at that point, had not the best same amount of understanding of the whole argument of Armstrong's capability to be faster than light and other peaks of potency. Now, I changed my mind and actually believe solemnly that Senator Armstrong would body Winston. and Doomfist all together, involving capabilities like that in the same instance. Because mainly that was a half-point argument and probability. But I believe now solemnly that someone like Armstrong, like my center Armstrong versus Doomfist video, would body Doomfist, even at equal stats, even at other high end, because he has better capability hacks, all this other shit. That's a whole different story. But that is my argument for why. It shows that, it shows different things, and I can link y'all a video, even though I don't like him as much anymore. But YFV has a video on Doomfist that is also another probable scan, and maybe he could give a better take on it, even though it's the same map for the argument and the same point at hand for why it is like that. Because simply, that is just the facts of the matter involving the state of matter for speed and other high-end capabilities that someone like Doomfist and Winston would have. And they both equally contend with each other if we're talking the kind of scaling. So he would easily be relativistic, faster than light. Done deal, argument, period. He's dead. He's dead. There's no argument to be made, okay? It's simple. He wins by that. Tracer arguably has a similar scale to that in the same instance. And even if you don't have the actual some argument to press it, if you want to fucking scale Genji, then you can maybe say that. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's a wank. Because y'all can't give me proof in the actual argument that he would. All y'all have said is that gravity control would disrupt his capabilities to do anything or push him back when he would have no capability to react. You cannot scale to something that you literally have no probability to be able to scale to unless you're a character like Doomsday who can adapt, have better durability, better attack patency in this case, and have better overall different hacks and feats. Like again, if you're not that, then there's no attack potency play scale. But at the same time, you have a little percentage of better patch of feats that would kind of be better whole argument. If we're talking about like wank, maybe. But at the same time, I don't need to wank Doomfist to say that he would win, because he actually did a speed feat that's better. He's faced people better, and all we have is gameplay, and no one has probable feats. Gravity cannot take away anybody's speed. That's not how that works. You just move a person, but he wouldn't be able to do that. He wouldn't be able to react. And Meteor Strike alone proves the same highball. The whole large building level / leveling a skyscraper feat or damn near the city level attack potency feat. So I just don't believe at all that he would be able to lose to Sigma. There's no way. I think he's way more better. I think he holds way more better. Same map for this, and that's just at the top of the ceiling point for my thing in the same instance. Because he just doesn't hold anything at a high roll to the same matter for everything that's been said. So that's how I feel. I'm not trying to backcall on the form of what I'm trying to say in the sense for this argument. But simply, he does not have the same rack capabilities that someone like Doomfist has. And that's why I feel the way I do. If you want to probably debate this, you can go ahead and do that. This is my opinion. This is how I feel. If you have a better reasoning for why you think that, that's fine. But I don't think Sigma could ever hold anything to Doomfist at this point. To go ahead and also debunk some different misconceptions, cause I almost forgot about this to recoil back on, was the misconceptions about Doomfist being able to lose just to Echo, being able to duplicate and stuff. One, by gameplay, there's a timer, so it wouldn't even matter. Two, she wouldn't be able to enhance all the capabilities that he has onto her, considerably by game, because they're not in the same state of form or the same fragment. And she can be bombastic on her pace of capabilities, but overarchingly, from what we know at Echo, she wouldn't be able to the same brutaliousness or capabilities that Doomfist has in his actual arsenal. So I feel like he can compress himself and best her overall. You know what I mean? Also, Arisa has never shown anything proven, consistent, or solemn that she would be able to beat Doomfist, because her context of, oh, it's not a hard job to make a coward run, kind of savage, but there's nothing that's supporting no to this, because Doomfist murked all her sisters. He could rock her anyway, and by gameplay, he could overarchingly overlast her and involve the same amount of capabilities from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. And by actual scans, he has better probable rock of capabilities to do things that someone like her does not. And you don't have anything considerably involving an actual scan fact that says this. And everything I heard in report didn't even make sense about Lucio somehow being tagged along with it. I don't understand, and we don't even know the context of that. And Doomfist doesn't discredit this, but she never says the same shit to him, and he don't have nothing to say about it either. So I don't know the context of this. I don't know if this was when she was rebuilt and he was going away, but he didn't have to fight it. Just because someone runs away from somebody doesn't mean that they would lose, doesn't mean that they would not have capability to do something. It doesn't mean anything. You don't know that. This is the same. You put this in the same perspective. That's like saying because Superman was running away from Doomsday to do something means that he's scared or he doesn't pack any punch in comparison. Remember the context of him saving people, and because Superman will be wasting time trying to have a full barbaric match against someone like Doomsday when Doomsday is destructive capacity by definition. It's the same thing as saying that someone like, I don't know, Black Dwarf scales the Hulk in the MCU just because he wanted to tag along when Thanos was at first getting milliwapped. He got sneaked by Hulk in the ship. It doesn't mean he scaled. It doesn't mean he could fight him. There's a context for why. Now, if you want to say he could by Wank, whatever. But there's nothing. I'm telling you, there's nothing solemnly that says he could. And I don't even think a Wank would be probable. Because how the fuck does he almost get beaten by a Hulkbuster Bruce Banner that doesn't hold anything against him? It scales someone like Thanos that more and more stacks more in a state of difference of power, way beyond the reasonableness that someone like someone else in like Namor has in this capability. Because again, these are characters with higher status evolving the scale of power, and overarchingly just don't hold in the same form, evolving feat power, capabilities, or other things like that. It's just simply not something that they have to be thinking about because they just don't have these capabilities overall. It's a very half-case bull scale because simply it's just not the case. It's not true. It's not actually a valid case of an argument. It's not actually a true high-end statement for scale. And overarchingly, he just has way more better capabilities to be able to defeat her than what has been proven. So that is why I feel like personally that stuff is not true and none of it has compatibility. Now we're talking about Winston. That's proven. That's true. Doomfist says this. He don't say shit about Arisa, and there's none proven. If y'all think she can beat him, that's reasonable. She has capabilities too. She was designed to take down Doomfist in case they ever fight again. But has she did it now? No. And overarchingly he has better feats if we're talking in a power scaling versus debate. Please, stop the cap. Stop the hooliganism. Please stop. If you have any reason to reasonably debate me on this stuff, that is fine. I will give you any case of stuff to debate me. I will run you to ad me. I'm playing with you. But no, on the real, if you want to actually debate, here's what I'm saying, man, for my social side program to actually do this in the stances on a platform basis in the stances. We can do it in the form of YouTube, depending on the instance, through comment, or in the form of a relativistic debate. We can do it on PS4. I can switch to Xbox, Discord, Instagram, other form of communication for a platform or a program form of debate talk. If you want to do that, that's fine. If not, I understand. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I don't mean no hate to anybody. Again, this is just me trying to go ahead and explain why I disagree with it, and I feel like it's kind of just smart talk and disrespectful to Doomfist and other characters the same for their capabilities and trying to pin them with low capability just because they haven't done this or that. I love y'all. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace out, my army. Love y'all.